Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage moderator of our next panel, Alison DeJaeger.
Hi everyone, I'm Alison DeJaeger and I'm president of List Self Storage. Thank you for joining our panel on considering third-party management. We have a great group today that includes Scott Beatty, CEO of Asset Storage Management. Scott has over 18 years of storage experience and he oversees accounting, financial reporting, revenue management, underwriting, HR, and technology. Korey Hanson is also with us today. Korey is the president of Argus Professional Storage Management, and he's responsible for all aspects of managing over 125 facilities throughout 12 states. Additionally, Mara Paredes of William Warren Group. Mara is the director of operations and she focuses on the company's national strategy and initiatives. She recently took on the role of third-party owner relationships and onboarding. Finally, Marlene Gore of AlphaStaff is also with us. Marlene is the head of client services and she has over 20 years of HR experience, 13 of which have been in a leadership capacity. Her expertise includes employee relations, training, recruitment, compensation, benefits, compliance, workers' comp, and more. So welcome everybody. Figured we would just jump right in. What new practices, precautions have you implemented given current circumstances? What challenges have you faced and had to solve? And I thought we could just start with Scott.
Yeah, thank you. Just to start, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for including us. Definitely a lot of different challenges and unique practices that we had to put in place over the last really about 4 months now as we've been dealing with COVID-19. I think one of the biggest challenges, but it's also been one of our biggest successes, is online rentals. So we had our online rental program live on all of our properties prior to COVID hitting, which was a blessing, but it was receiving about 10% of our rental activity. Well, through COVID, we quickly pivoted a great deal of emphasis towards that and ended up getting up to around 50% of our rental activity online, which was a fantastic thing. So that was definitely a quick pivot for us. Clearly, lots of other pivots in terms of team member safety and late fees, auction processes being suspended, those sorts of things. So just an awful lot of different practices put in place to both accommodate the customer, to keep the customer safe, and also to keep our team members safe as well.
That's great. Korey, what have you got?
Yeah, I mean, challenging times indeed. It's been something that we never lived before, and hopefully we don't have to live through again. But as far as precautions, I mean, social distancing is the easy answer. That's all we hear about. But we limited customers in our offices to one at a time. We would, in some cases, we locked the doors and allowed the manager to, allow the people in one at a time, had them call, put some signs on the door. We installed sneeze guards at all of our properties to protect our managers. Supplied them with cleaning supplies, masks, gloves, Clorox wipes, which are really hard to find right now. And we purchased it in bulk from the corporate office so that the managers didn't have to go out and do the shopping like they normally would. And then we put in some new practices for increased cleaning, made sure that they were cleaning all high-touch areas, all high-traffic areas. And, like Scott said, the contactless rentals and the online rentals was a huge thing for us. We were there, but we definitely made it better and perfected it during this process. We also engaged Call Potential and their collection manager module. It's an automated texting program, and we kind of pitched it to our customers that it wasn't trying to collect more money from them, but we're trying to make it more convenient for them to be able to make a payment, so they could simply get a text on their phone and connect directly to an auto pay, auto attendant, or pay by online. We were a little more lenient on partial payments and deferring auctions during this time. It's a practice we took into place. Whether it was government mandated or not, we felt it was the right thing to do to not hold auctions and try to be a little more lenient with our customers, throughout the time of COVID, especially the first couple months.
It's very helpful. Mara, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Sure. So I really agree with Scott and Korey and kind of their different points. For us, it's been an important time for our company. We've been able to kind of quickly adjust and set up daily calls with our teams, not only at the corporate level, but at the site level as well. Additionally, with that kind of having fluid conversations, we've been able to kind of implement the sneeze guards. We've been able to implement like face shields, as well as kind of a very strict cleaning practice. Additionally, we did source a very large order for masks and gloves for all of our employees and even our guests that come in that don't have kind of the proper face coverings. So a lot of the procedures we actually already had in place because we have been kind of an innovative company, but we just didn't have a name for it. So for example, in our call center is in-house. And it has been 24/7 for about 2 years now. So with that, our call center has already been doing kind of virtual rentals, kind of touchless rentals over the phone without a customer having to step foot in the office. As well, on our website has 24/7 rentals as well, where a customer can select their unit, they can select their promotion, sign their lease, select their insurance, all online without even speaking with a representative. So kind of these different practices we have in place have really made it easy for us to onboard facilities even pre-COVID, either with its development or an acquisition or third-party management. We've been able to kind of onboard them because we have been a cloud-based company.
Marlene, on this subject, can you take it home?
Absolutely. So ours is just a little bit different, where it comes down to from an employment perspective. COVID really came in as an unknown factor for everybody, right? In the HR area where we usually practice and litigate, we normally know what to do and how to do it. Unfortunately, COVID just came in and it was a bright future for us because we did not know what we were getting ourselves into. So we provided our clients a lot of tools and resources to provide them with what to do during this period of time, right? Everybody had to go remote. So what are the best practices that you can put in place to, have remote employees be productive, continue to work, as well as the CARES Act, how to, code your employees correctly based on whether they were paid sick leaves or EFMLA or just putting them on a furlough. So talking a lot with our clients on different subjects, obviously, that we have ever spoken about. It was understanding what their best case scenarios were during the periods of time of unknown, if they were returning in a week, if they were returning in 2 weeks, or what. In addition to that, obviously, a lot of our clients were also trying to get their loans, their PPP loans. So working with them in regards to making sure that they have the reports correctly and just navigating through the new areas that we have today and anticipating litigations, obviously, because we don't know what the future will hold. So making sure that practices and policies and trainings are in place for the future litigation that we may have to look at. Successful defense during COVID-19 and how to put things in place for our clients is it's our priority, right? So we want to make sure that we are continuing to have partnerships with them and helping them understand what leads ahead based on the condition of the employment, that they put today based on whatever it is that they are maybe doing the next day or 6 months from now or three days from now. So that's kind of what we have been doing with our clients, and at this point in time is continuing to go down that road because we don't know what the anticipation litigations will be. I know from a workers' comp perspective, as well as disability, which is ahead for us as to how to return to work. Do we have protective equipment for our employees? When do they come back to work? Do they have any type of disability? Do we need to prevent somebody from coming back to work? What type of testings do we need to do prior to them returning back to work? And just helping our clients understand all of those new features that we now have to face.
Wow, that was very, very thorough. Korey, can you talk a little bit about the trends that you're seeing?
Excuse me, say that again, please.
About trends that you're seeing?
Challenges?
Trends, excuse me.
Oh, trends, I'm sorry.
We'll get to
Yeah,
challenges.
during the trends during the first 2 months of COVID, we saw a large decrease in our move-in activity, but we also saw a large decrease in our move-out activity. So I think the net was about a -5%. So, not horrible considering the entire country was shut down, but our ARs have increased across our portfolio, but mostly in the 60+ to 90+ day range. mainly due to not having auctions in the months of March or April and May. I think we were able to keep our 130s pretty much in check, but the larger ones, as we weren't able to process our liens, really started to add up. So we've seen some increased delinquencies and ARs. And because of all this, our revenue's down year over year. I think we're down about 3% looking at year over year, same store basis through May. But as far as what trends we're seeing now is, we're seeing a lot more online rentals, which has been great. We're seeing a lot more online payments. We're seeing a lot more people sign up for auto pay. We're seeing a lot more web activity versus the drive-in and our walk-in and drive-by activity. In June, we're really seeing our business pick up. We're really happy to see that. Most of our facilities are almost back to normal or close to it when it comes to rental activity right now. And I think the last trend I can comment on is I've seen in some of the markets around, we've seen development appears to be slowing down, which, for existing sites is a really good thing. Just a couple of projects that were on the radar and we knew were coming up, have been pushed back. And not to say they've gone away, but I think that for existing sites, and especially those not having new competition coming to your market right now is a really good thing.
Yeah, Laura, can you add to that?
Sorry, was that for me? I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Alison.
Oh, sorry. Can you add to that just about any trends that you're seeing?
Sure. So very similar. We have seen kind of a decrease in some move-in activity. However, self-storage is really resilient kind of during national kind of times. So the demand for storage is still there. So we have seen, kind of saw a slow as soon as like the shelter in places started rolling out. But we have seen it kind of an increase in that just as the states and kind of the counties start to open up, we have seen things kind of start to pick up. As well as we have seen a kind of a trend with kind of third-party owners as well, where third-party owners have been able to really kind of just self-manage their properties for themselves, and they've been doing it really well. But we have noticed that just recently some third-party owners have come knocking on our door just because they're now looking for kind of an operator that is kind of innovative and can do all the cloud-based systems without having kind of a man in a body at the property. So we've really been leveraging our technology, which I think has helped us kind of continue to excel, kind of focusing on our personnel, really focusing on training and things like that, because that's really what's going to keep us moving ahead.
That's great. Marlene, can you weigh in also on the trends that you're seeing?
So most of the trends that we have been able to see is obviously some decrease in the storage industry. We have not seen a tremendous amount of decrease in employees, being furloughed, which is a really, really good thing from their perspective. We have seen a little bit of employees going on furlough, but the majority of the clients, I would say, it's not in the storage industry. It is more, in other industries that we obviously service from the hospitality perspective and so on. Now, one trend that we have been able to see is how they have been not furloughed, but really put on leave of absences. So those are the ones that I am seeing. Obviously, they still would have to pay them, based on the leave of absence that they took. So they, from a payroll perspective, unfortunately for those clients, they still have to pay those employees based on the paid sick leave that they have chosen.
Excellent. Scott, can you add to that?
Yeah, absolutely happy to. Let's see. Totally agree with everybody's comments. Storage, as Mara pointed out, storage is very resilient, which is a blessing. We received a pretty big bump at the end of March due to student influx, unexpected. Obviously, never experienced before a student rush in March due to all the colleges and campuses closing down. That gave us a nice lift through the end of March, brought our year-over-year results up very well. Clearly, April and May were struggles as we were sheltering in place. Towards the end of May, the last week of May, though, things started to really rebound, which was just a fantastic sight. And in June, our rentals are up 9% year over year. So there was some pent-up demand, and as the states began to open up, we are beginning to see that activity. And the other cool part to that for us, especially, and I think the others would mirror this as well, is vacates seem to be lower, which is fantastic. So that's giving us a really positive net gain, which is fantastic. So for us, through earlier this week through Sunday, our year-over-year results were actually up 1%. June year to date this year versus June year to date last year for our same store set, which comprises about 75 locations for us. As Korey indicated, ARs in total are up, but as he also indicated, usually and is very consistent with us, those customers 60 days and less are on par with where they've been historically. It's those customers that are aged longer that we've had to delay auctions for that are causing that bump. And then in terms of kind of technology trends, absolutely. I think one of the neatest kind of outcomes of COVID will be the customer comfort with online rentals. So yeah, there was this disconnect. Folks weren't always necessarily comfortable renting online in the past. They weren't sure how the process worked. COVID kind of forced their hand into that. So I think trending has been the online rental process, and the fact that more and more customers have gotten used to it, have gotten comfortable with that process, and are now completing the move-in online. So I think that's really exciting for the future of the industry.
That's a really, really great point. Mara, do you have any advice that you could give to operators who are just really considering the critical state of the market right now?
I'm sorry, you cut off a little bit. Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, so starting with Mara this time. What advice do you have to operators just considering the unpredictable state of the market right now?
Oh, well, there's a lot of things that I can talk about, right? I mean, as we are looking at, what we're looking at, it's really a lot of litigation, to be perfectly honest with you. And unfortunately, as you all know, anticipated litigations. That's what, is saying from our Jackson Lewis attorneys that we usually work with, or Nelson, Baker Donaldson's that we usually work with the law firms. And one of the biggest factors that we're looking at is from a discrimination perspective. What practices did you take during the period of time of, did you furlough anybody? Who did you furlough? Did you furlough them correctly? If you did, if you had to go ahead and do any type of reduction force, how did you choose those individuals? Was it based on, a race, an impact race that you maybe have chosen? Unfortunately, sometimes we don't really realize, but maybe you're closing locations, and in that closing of their locations, maybe is a particular that you may be impacting. So those are the type of areas that we're looking in regards to the environment and the health and the safety. If you do have operators that are coming in, what type of protective equipment did you provide them with? Obviously, as you do not have customers coming into your properties, I think that's a lot better, right? Because they feel protected. They don't have to feel as they're potentially open up for getting any type of the viruses, which is that privacy, feeling healthy and feeling like somebody else is protecting their environment is really, really coming down to it from an employee's perspective. How is my company helping me to make sure that they're doing the right thing for me as an employee, right? So we're always looking from an environmental health and safety perspective. And then from a labor perspective, just failure to comply with any type of issues from a wage and hour perspective. Did they pay me correctly based on the hours that I worked? If I was remote, did I, put in all my hours that I was supposed to be working? Making sure that any hours that they were paid, whether it was, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if they picked up the phone on a cell phone or on a Saturday morning or what have you, that they work extra, were those paid correctly? So those are just some of the areas that are coming ahead, that we are starting to work with some of our clients to make sure that if they did not do it correctly, are they doing it now moving forward based on whatever practices that they have in place.
That's great. Mara Paredes, do you have anything, advice that you have?
Sure. So the advice we would give is really just not panic. That again, self-storage is resilient. It's going to bounce back. Even though activity has slightly slowed in the beginning months, it was going to come back, and it has. So really just remember to leverage your technology, look at processes and systems that are cloud-based that are able to kind of put you or bring you to that next level. Additionally, remember to kind of just hear your customers and hear your guests. Being able to kind of pivot and change your tone when it comes to like the collections process, being able to kind of work with them as a company. Historically, we haven't done any partial payments. Through these times, we have opened up regarding partial payments and credits and things like that. So it has helped us kind of be able to kind of be more connected with our guests and being able to kind of provide them an extra level of customer service that we haven't provided before.
That's very helpful. Scott, what about you?
I think Mari's point of not panicking is fantastic. There's definitely a great deal of resiliency, as we've seen, even dating back to the Great Recession. I would encourage folks to pay very close attention to their local markets, their local jurisdictions, to understand the laws in place, from a health and safety perspective. There's quite a discrepancy, even within a metro area, between what a county and a city may be doing. And so pay very close attention to that. Know what the regulations are, know what the trends are from the health and safety perspective. Keep up your cleaning practices. Now's not the time to backtrack on some of that. You want to be very focused on your touch points, your keypads, your elevators, your countertops, all those things. Just let's keep that going. The other, from a pricing perspective, I would say you really need to anticipate that there are going to be some properties in trouble, whether that's the lease up properties or even potentially some stabilized properties. So don't be shocked when you see aggressive discounting going on. We often talk about aggressive discounting from the REITs, but I don't think it's going to stop there. I think we're going to see aggressive pricing and discounting from just other lease-up properties in particular that have fallen behind their pro forma. Perhaps they're running out of interest-only periods, and they've got to do everything they can to get somebody in the door. So anticipate some of that, be prepared for some of that, have your properties looking and operating as well as possible. Follow up on every lead, because every one of them is extremely valuable. So I'd say just really stay on top of your game, because although it's not a time to panic, there will be a few out there that are going to be desperate for every rental, and you may find yourself in competition with them.
That's really helpful. Korey, what are your thoughts?
Sure. Well, with such an esteemed panel up here, it's kind of rough going last because, I think we're all on the same page here. But my notes on this were, number one is work with your customer. Your existing customer is your best customer. Those that are honest with you and tell you the problems they're having with regards to possible job loss due to COVID or medical issues, et cetera, help them out, be there for them. You help them through this, you guarantee they're going to tell their friends. They're going to be a repeat customer for life. We know our favorite storage customer is the one who rents from us multiple times. In addition, get your technology up to speed as soon as possible. Everybody should be doing full online rentals, the text messaging, the collections, have an advanced management software that can do all this for you. Be really smart about your revenue management and your pricing. It's exactly what Scott just alluded to. What you've done in the past probably isn't going to work today because there's just a different market right now. So you got to be really smart about that. And then, the word that we all said was don't panic. We've got it in huge letters in our conference room right now. And we just got to keep telling ourselves that we're going to get through this and that it's going to be fine.
That's great. You make a really good point about how esteemed this panel is and everyone lending their expertise. And I think it kind of is a great segue. Audience question, why third-party management? What are the advantages?
I'll take that to start.
Sorry, yeah.
I think a lot of the stuff we just touched on to answer, why third-party management is someone to help you navigate through this. If we were learning kind of as we went too, but we had the platform to do it. So, understanding how to navigate through COVID and through everything that was involved, from HR to, the government regulations, having the sophisticated pricing models, just having a platform that a typical single owner who's running it themselves doesn't have. can be a real benefit in a time like this.
So I'll take it next. Why third-party management is like being able to kind of rely on a company that is backed by some capital and being able to kind of put together some kind of processes that maybe you haven't been able to put in place. Also looking for a company that is innovative and looking to advance and is always like looking to quickly pivot and can quickly pivot during any time. And then just a company that really has like a really strong team behind them. I think to Marlene's point as well is really what has helped us kind of remain on top of all the different orders, just because we do operate in 12 different states, is having an in-house legal counsel. And so she has been really on a daily basis looking at our city orders, county orders, state orders, and helping for us to stay on top of kind of evictions and moratoriums and kind of what is now the cap on street rates, what's the cap now on existing rate increases, and then kind of her being able to kind of be our eyes and ears and kind of be in the SSA and kind of being able to connect with kind of the legal counsel that we have for the SSA. So that was what has really helped us kind of remain on top of all the kind of the ever-changing world that we're in now.
Great. Yes. Can you add to that?
I'm sorry, who did you?
Scott, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I would add to just trying to think of something unique to add to that. And I know that we all offer this extremely well, is the economies of scale, being able to leverage the size and get the products like a call center or those other services at much more affordable rates with much higher quality. It's not always about price, but it's also about quality, and so we're able to offer that. And kind of piggybacking on that is the marketing side. So we are able to compete directly with the REITs from a marketing perspective, online and in person. And I think that's huge, and it's really hard to do, and it's really hard to do individually. But as a group, we're able to have the buying power that we need to get the placements, both organic and pay-per-click. And so it's the SEO is there and that sort of thing. So there's an awful lot of advantages, and the biggest outcome for a lot of our clients is simply peace of mind, knowing that it's professionally managed, that they can go and do what they want to do and have storage as an investment and have that peace of mind that it's being operated and managed professionally and efficiently.
That's such a great point. Marlene, I think same question, but with respect to outsourcing.
So it's funny that you say this. Kind of different, but to be honest with you, every single thing that everyone said, I agree with, right? And that is how we help our clients out as well. Scott, you said it well, right? With peace of mind. That's usually what we go in with, making sure that our clients understand that they can operate their own and have to worry about the 23 states that they operate in, because we do understand what that looks like, and working with legal counsel to making sure that from a wage and hour perspective, or any type of whistleblower retaliation issues that are coming down the pipeline regarding the CARES Act. And I'm just talking, in general regarding COVID-19 right now, on the processes that we have been able to put in place for some of our clients, policies that were not there, reports that were not available right away for clients, well, and just understanding how to navigate with every type of scenario you can possibly imagine out there, right? It is not just a regular individual that can't come into work. Now there's also impacting them because they can't put their children to go to school. So, having to just bring everything back into perspective as to what we had to deal with, and some of our operators had to also deal with, is providing them with peace of mind that even though they could not come back to work at regularly, just like they had before, they also could count on AlphaStaff to continue to provide them with the benefits that they had prior to COVID-19, which was payroll, continuing to pay their taxes as they were assigned, providing them with legal guidance on a daily basis, benefits, and just overall continuing to have the unemployment management that we provide to all of our clients, and then helping them out with every state that they have as to regulations. Every day we learn something new. in regards to what states are doing. Some states are making sure that you let them know right away when an employee is asked to return to work. If they're not, what happens at that point in time? Do you get penalized? Does the employee get penalized, and so on? Every single state has different jurisdictions, and also even paperwork that we would need to provide our clients with. So it's coming back to the same thing that everybody said. It's peace of mind for most of our clients.
Yeah, thank you. Mara Paredes, sorry. Can you tell me a little bit about, any concerns that you have moving forward?
Sure. So the concerns we have, I think it's the concerns everyone has, is that the virus is so uncontrollable and like so unpredictable. So like while we go out of the kind of the first wave of the virus, it's like, so our fear is like further shutdowns or like a second wave, kind of a stronger wave. And so our fear is lockdowns, kind of more shutdowns. But again, what has helped us is our in-house legal counsel. And again, even just the practices we've already put in place, it will help us kind of with any future pandemics or things that happen. And so since the industry has historically kind of looked at like strong rentals and strong revenue growth, and like we're kind of in an unknown time right now, I think that's really been our concern, is like being able to really stay on top of it, like still continue with like our in-house strategies, like being able to kind of continue with our marketing and things like that. So that's really what kind of has helped us, but as well as is kind of a future concern.
Thanks, Mara. Korey, can you weigh in?
Yeah, as far as concerns moving forward, I believe that markets that already have supply issues are getting worse. Markets that are overbuilt are going to take a little longer to grow out of their overbuilding issues. I touched on it earlier a little bit. I think lease-up properties are going to struggle for a while with regards to rates and length of time to stabilize. And that's not just COVID. That's just kind of the overbuilding that's going on as well in our market. But more COVID-related cases is a concern. If a second wave comes through and additional regulations come down on us from a state or even a city or county level, potential shutdowns are very concerning. But with all the current concerns out there, I just want to say that we're all very fortunate to be in the self-storage industry and compared to some of the other real estate sectors right now. And in self-storage, we know how to weather the storm, and I think we'll get through this one just like we've gotten through all the other economic downturns of the past.
That's an excellent point. Scott, what about you? What are your thoughts?
A couple that haven't already been mentioned. We're factoring in the idea that we'll have more conservative current tenant rate increases, at least for the short term. So 8 to 10 to 12% may be on the back burner for a while, and we may be looking at 4 to 6% current tenant rate increases for the short term. So that'll have an economic impact. Obviously, I think a lot of operators and a lot of clients and owners are projecting that into their numbers is a much more aggressive. We've traditionally been able to get more aggressive on rate increases, so there'll have to be a bit of a pullback, I believe, on that. The other thing that I've seen, and this is sporadic around the country, but I think we're gonna see more of this, and that is property tax rates. So specifically, as an example, the city of Nashville just passed their property tax rate increase, and it is dramatic. It is very significant, and it is going to have a bottom line effect for every single one of our clients that we manage for in that market. And it's going to be an increase of somewhere in the 20+% range of their property taxes, and it's going to take a big chunk, and it's going to put pressure on all of us to perform better, and we're up for it. But it's just added pressure. So, I think you're going to see that as these jurisdictions, as the cities and the states adjust to the reduction in sales tax revenue that they've gotten over the last 3 months due to the shut-in, the shelter in place. The sales tax revenues have fallen off. So the states are going to need to make up for that shortfall. The cities will as well. And so we'll start to see the property tax rates inch up. So I think that's a real concern, and may have a positive impact for us, for our existing locations in one way, because it might slow future development. And as Korey was stating, it might slow some of the overcrowded markets and that sort of thing, and help us catch up from a supply demand perspective. but it's definitely going to have its negative ripple impacts for all of us in terms of just having a higher tax bill to pay. And so I think that's a real concern looking forward.
Well said. Marlene, what about you?
There, I mean, as we're looking into this, how, you know, it impacts, it's a lot of areas where is going to be impacted, right? If it does happen, you know, have an outbreak, you know, returning back employees that are returning at this point in time at 50%, maybe 20%, 15%, whatever that looks like, and then they have to return back to remote employees. It's just returning back to that, you know, what we did 2 months ago from that perspective, and just continuing to make sure that you're doing it correctly. I don't know what the future holds in regards to the PPP loans. Is there another stream of that, right? If we go back into, you know, shelter in place, is there's going to be more impact regarding the paid sick leave and furlough at that point in time from the government perspective? So I think it's, while we are in a good place today, I believe we don't know what the next 60 days, 90 days look like. And as we learn more, obviously on a daily basis on how this is going to be impacting us, I think we will have a little bit more information as we continue to increase either population going back to work or population going back to remote. I know cyber security is it's a big issue for our clients at this point in time, because you still have remote employees as well as you know, employees that are returning back to work, maybe 50%. So that's one of the high areas that we're seeing, you know, we're making sure that the privacy of that employee is continued, as well as the privacy of the operator or the client.
That's a really good information. Thank you. Scott, what do you predict for the new normal as we start to reopen?
Who did you ask that to?
Oh, for Scott, sorry.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, you're fine. New normal. Yeah, that's interesting. It's still going to take some time to get there for sure. I think a continued evolution in how the customer rents from us and how the customer interacts with us. So continued online rentals, I think, is going to be a big thing. So that's going to become part of our new normal. We've broken the ice in a lot of ways, and so I think that's going to continue. A higher reliance on technology. So whether not just from an online perspective, but also a security perspective. So increased surveillance, which may result, you know, all of that may result in a change in our staffing at the properties if we can get comfortable with that. And so I think that could be a part of our new normal. Clearly a modified student rental season as we approach the fall college season. That'll be a new normal for a lot of properties out there. And then from a supervisory and management perspective, I think we're gonna have a unique opportunity to find, you know, best practices, honestly, around in-person and virtual property visits and supervision from that perspective as well. We've all had to adapt very quickly virtually. As we've all reduced travel and reduced personal interactions with our team members. But that's, you know, some of that has been positive, and we'll have to find what that new balance looks like. And so I think it'll be a hybrid, and I think we'll definitely utilize that technology and the experiences that we've gained. But still, you know, there's still an awful lot of value to being face-to-face, not only with your customers, but with your team members as well. And so we look forward to getting back to that. And we've started that in some ways, but I think that'll be part of the new normal, is finding that right balance, especially as we continue to see, you know, the cases or the infection rates continue to go as they have.
Well said. Yeah, Korey, can you add to that?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the new normal that I'm seeing in the short term, I mean, I think slower move-ins this rental season. You know, I believe that our rental season has definitely been shortened. I know it varies on different parts of the country, but typically May to September, was a strong rental season, and we lost May, and June's coming back now. And as Scott alluded to, we'll see what happens at the end of the summer. But I predict an increased move out of small businesses that may not have made it through COVID and through some of the economic conditions we're dealing with. Unemployment is going to continue to increase. There's probably going to be less small businesses who will be renting with us. We're hoping that the opposite happens in the short term, because people want to keep their stuff, and if they can't afford their office or their warehouse or their retail center, they're going to put it in storage. But we don't know how long that'll last for. Definitely more focus on technology-based platforms. That's been touched on several times. Online rentals, contactless rentals, and I really think it's going to be more more website shopping, less walk-ins. I think that a lot of people have been doing that for some time now, but I don't think people are going to be visiting multiple storage facilities to find the right one. They're going to be doing everything online. So it'd be important to have virtual tours and better photos and all that kind of stuff on your website.
Thank you, Korey. Marlene, I'm really curious to hear your predictions for the new normal.
So, I believe a couple of you guys have alluded to this, is unemployment and workers' comp management, right? Obviously, from an unemployment perspective, we will see that lots of different states are going to generate, high percentages of claims, obviously, and how to litigate those and making sure that we're returning back to work, or that we're returning back to the information that we need to provide unemployment if the employee is not choosing to return to work or what have you. From a workers' comp perspective, just making sure that we are, impacting our employees and making sure that we're taking care of them, not just from a security perspective, but also making sure that you are providing them with the right equipment, that the claims are not because of negligence on your part as an operator, making sure that you're providing them with a safe protection, and the claims if you do happen to have anybody that may have the COVID-19, unfortunately, that you prepare your employees and you make sure that you also have confidentiality and safeguards around the claims that you may be able to get. Moving forward, obviously, we are always looking at training your management staff, training your employees in a way that you can, making sure that your COBRA notifications, if you do happen to terminate or furlough any employee and you're not paying the benefits for them, that COBRA notifications are going out in a timely manner. Obviously, we all know that you have failure to provide notices in a timely manner may come back to a litigation issue from that perspective. So just protecting yourself from that. The second part that I would say is privacy. Obviously California has a lot of different regulations as well as New Jersey and New York. But I can see some of those states, some of those litigations coming down the pipeline on the eastern states. And what we have been able to see is that privacy security in connection with any type of medical records that are provided to you as an operator, just make sure of the individuals that are keeping safeguard of that documentation, making sure that nobody's information is being shared with somebody else for whatever the reason may be. Disability perspective on an ADA condition, whether it's headaches, migraines, or a respiratory infection or what have you. It doesn't really have to be just COVID-19 related, but GINA Act as well as testing. So just take take the right procedures and measurements in place to make sure that you're doing the right thing. From a training perspective, I would say continue to train your managers as much as you possibly can. The more that they know about how to protect your organization, they are the line of defense of your organization. So just make sure that you are training them with everything that they need to know. Even more so now because everything is so new based on COVID-19. Even from an HR management perspective, I've been practicing for the last 25 years of my life. And unfortunately, every day we get questions that we don't know what they look like, right? It's a very gray situation. And, we consult with our attorneys all the time. And even, at points in times, we don't even know those because it's so new. it's known. So I would absolutely say, what I look at is from an unemployment perspective, workers' comp perspective, litigation, for making sure that you're doing the right training, documentation, privacy. Some workers' comp retaliation claims, they're already talking about some of those. So making sure that you handle them properly, as well as making sure employees are being provided with the right notification. Different states have provided 2 different notices so far that I'm aware of during COVID-19. I think there's more that are coming down the pipeline. Obviously, you have to provide that information to your employees. So just making sure that you're keeping up with those notices as well.
Thank you, Marlene. Mara, do you have anything to add to that?
So for our new normal, it's the continued communication and transparency with our teams. As we reopen our facilities, because we have kind of been doing kind of rentals behind the glass and having our facilities locked, we will be looking to kind of minimize payroll and readjust our FTE models. Luckily, we haven't had to furlough anybody. We haven't had to lay off anybody. As a company, we've actually hired a lot during this time, where when our corporate office actually reopens, I'm not sure if we're going to all have seats because we've just been hiring just because we've discovered so many needs. So we're just going to be forced to really continue to adapt. And as we've kind of managed with fewer bodies in the office, just with social distancing and practices like that, we're just really going to leverage more on our technology, which I know we have kind of touched on. Additionally, we do have a program which is called StoreQuest Express. It is kind of for smaller facilities that are slightly unmanned. They have shorter hours, and then we do have our own kind of internal vestibule, as well as kind of a kiosk system that we have put together kind of with our own technology. So really kind of just utilizing that, utilizing more of kind of a StoreQuest Express model where it's really unmanned, and then just having kind of technology that we focus on for our rentals and kind of for customer service related questions.
That's excellent. And actually, I want to stay with you, Mara, for this next question. In terms of just automating a facility, do you have a plan for the implementation to actually automate?
So actually, we're already doing it. We actually have been doing it for some time now. Our first StoreQuest Express facility opened, I want to say, I don't even know, like 5-6 years ago. And because it was a smaller facility, it was unmanned, had much smaller payroll. It leased up within 5 months, which is just crazy. And so we're really kind of just looking to expand on that. So now we have about our 6th or 7th StoreQuest Express facility under our belt that we have developed kind of from the ground up. It is kind of a single story, kind of with internal climate controlled as well as drive up access, and really just leveraging our technology. So we've rolled out kind of some new kind of special cameras that our call center is actually monitoring. If we do have a customer that comes in after hours when a manager is not there, our call center is really is able to open the door, being able to kind of assist them, being able to kind of talk to them remotely. And that's all, like, our call center agents right now are kind of within their homes just because our corporate office is closed. So, you know, that it is kind of in a new world we're in, where we're able to use technology, where we're able to have our call center agents be at home, being able to assist and remote into a facility that is in Hawaii in a different time zone, because our agents are 24/7. So that's really what we've seen is we've automated our facilities just because of our technology that we have.
That's great stuff. Korey, what about you?
So, I mean, at Argus, I don't think we've perfected the fully automated system, our facility yet. We do have a lot that we've reduced payroll. And I still feel that there still has to be some sort of human touch, and I'm sure Mara would agree there. There still has to be somebody to go check out the units and swoop them out and check locks and stuff, unless you're fully using the new products out there, which is the no-key system from Janus. But you know, we have used a lot of satellite operations where we have multiple stores and markets where you can get your payroll costs down significantly and use the technology. You know, we have kiosks at our properties, but in reality now, I think these things are now kiosks. I mean, if you can do a full online rental on your phone, you can, you know, you have the same ability to do that. But security is very important, and you know, like I said, I think we've been able to almost fully automate, but you know, we still have minimal payroll, even if it's 5 or 10 hours a week, having somebody there is really helpful.
Thanks, Korey. Scott, what about you?
Yeah, I would agree with both of those. We're definitely working towards that, but not quite there yet. And I definitely agree as well that there still needs to be some physical touch, some perspective. There are a lot of great resources and products out there. We have a number of our locations with no key versus specifically kind of the hardware permanently installed variety and the retrofit if your facility is already there. And you want to add the hardware. So we've got some experience with that. I know PTI, I believe, has their core product, and we have experience with that as well, and have that in a couple of our locations, and then online rentals and that sort of thing to help there. As Korey mentioned, we also do quite a bit of piggybacking and sistering, if you will. Facilities to save on costs and to share resources and to make them as autonomous as possible. So in a particular market where we'll have a number of locations, there are definitely opportunities there. And so that along with the technology really helps to manage.
Thanks, Scott. Marlene, do you have anything to add?
I don't. I think pretty talked about it.
Right. We are running out of time. So did you guys want to add anything? Korey, anything as we close out?
I mean, I did see one other question come on where it talked about how a small facility can justify or afford third-party management. I want to touch on that. I mean, when a third-party management company comes in, it doesn't always increase your expenses. Of course, you have a management fee that you didn't have before, but a lot of times companies the size of us on this panel have, the economies of scale. We have a master policy for our property insurance where our clients can save 30 to 40%. Typically, we've negotiated the lowest credit card processing fees, software fees, website fees. So, you put that in conjunction with revenue management, improved marketing, and just a professional proven platform. A lot of times you'd be surprised on a small facility that a management company can come in and actually pay for themselves at some point in the near future. And also keep in mind that there's different price ranges out there. I mean, there's a ton of management companies out there, and everybody charges something a little bit different. So, just do your homework if you're looking to look.
Thank you. Scott, can you weigh in?
Yeah, I think those are terrific points. The one that we often see when somebody comes to us with a smaller facility is they may be overlooking some of the ancillary revenue streams. So specifically, tenant insurance is a big one for the small operator that may have overlooked that previously. That oftentimes adds a significant amount of additional revenue to the owner and can offset a lot of that management fee. So look at those, look for those opportunities, and we can often find those for you as well.
Thank you. Mara, what about you?
So really just piggybacking off of what Scott and Korey has said already, we do have a sophisticated kind of market research team kind of in-house. And so we always, before we decide to go with a third-party management, we want to do our own research as well. We want to make sure that we're the best fit for you as well. So we're taking a look at your rates, we're taking a look at the market just to make sure that we would be able to kind of provide you that level of support that your property would need. And so again, we do believe that third-party management does only increase your revenues. It really does decrease your operating expenses just because we are able to kind of leverage different platforms. So if it makes financial sense for you as the owner, then yeah, third-party management is the way to go.
They're great responses. Marlene, I think with respect to PEO, what are your thoughts?
I can absolutely say that, a lot of individuals think that they can't afford it, right? It's not for me, or I have it in-house. And what I always challenge our clients with, or our partners, is to say, you know what you do best. In your organizations, right? You know how to do it better than anybody else. But when it comes down to whether you're multi-state or practicing in different areas of the HR, whether it is litigation, whether it is employee benefits, payroll on a daily basis in different jurisdictions and notices that you need to obtain, as well as unemployment management, knowing exactly how to work around it. In workers' comp claims, when you come into a PEO, you have all of those services available to you. You have experts in every single one of them to help you and operate and guide you in the right direction. So I always look at it from that perspective to say, we're here as an extension of your organization to make you successful as a client, but also just partnering up with us to make sure that what values to you and your employees.
Thank you. That's just really helpful all around. I just want to say thank you so much for joining and being patient with us as we navigate, this new platform and everything. I really appreciate you taking the time to lend your expertise. This has been so incredibly helpful. And then obviously everyone who attended, thank you so much for joining. We've got the cocktail reception, which I've been training for the past few months, and about 5 minutes. So I will see you guys there.
Thank you, Alison.
Thank you.
Thank you.